We officially found out our offer got accepted on a new home, so that means it's time to start packing. Over the next 30 days, we're going to be taking you guys along through all of it. I also couldn't bring myself to get rid of any of the stuffies. So many of them connect to different stages of the kids' lives, and I already know I'll probably keep them forever.
For years, the Bates family built an online empire around the idea that no matter what happened behind closed doors, the family unit itself would always remain unshakable. Problems were softened with smiling group photos. Uncomfortable moments disappeared behind polished captions, and emotional conflict rarely survived long enough to fully reach the public timeline. But this week, Katie Bates Clark may have quietly shattered that illusion more than anyone inside the family ever has before. What started as a simple Instagram Q&A suddenly spiraled into confessions about therapy, childhood trauma, severe anxiety, marital struggles, and the devastating reality of losing relationships with most of her own family after finally deciding to speak honestly about her past. And honestly, the internet immediately realized this was no longer normal Bates family content anymore. The entire situation escalated incredibly fast once Katie opened the Q&A session and unexpectedly chose to answer one of the most confrontational questions sent to her directly. Instead of ignoring criticism about leaving Tennessee and distancing herself from the larger Bates family network, Katie leaned directly into it. She openly admitted that things happening behind the scenes were far more painful and complicated than anything viewers had seen publicly, before revealing that she had recently started addressing serious childhood trauma for the first time in her life. And then came the statement that completely changed the tone of the conversation online. Katie admitted that after beginning to confront those experiences honestly, she lost relationships with 90% of her family in the process. And honestly, the internet immediately froze on that number because it completely shattered the carefully maintained Bates family narrative audiences have watched for years. This is a family that built an entire public identity around closeness, loyalty, forgiveness, and constant emotional unity. So, hearing one of the daughters casually admit that speaking openly about her childhood effectively fractured most of those relationships felt genuinely shocking, even to longtime viewers already skeptical of the family image. What made the confession hit even harder was Katie's refusal to soften it with polished influencer language. She flatly admitted she was done pretending everything was okay just to preserve appearances, and openly explained that remaining close to the family's Tennessee home base was no longer emotionally healthy for her. But things became even heavier once the conversation shifted toward her marriage with Travis Clark. When asked directly about how their relationship was doing, Katie admitted that marriage can be incredibly hard, and then quietly added that what Travis did certainly did not make the situation any easier. And honestly, that single sentence immediately reignited months of internet speculation surrounding emotional distance, tension, and unusual behavior viewers thought they had been noticing between the couple online. Katie never fully explained what happened, but the wording alone was enough to completely transform the internet reaction from curiosity into full-blown concern. What made the update feel especially raw, though, was how openly Katie described the emotional toll everything has taken on her mentally. She revealed that she has been working intensely with a real therapist since February and described the process as life-changing, but also emotionally overwhelming in ways she never fully expected. Katie admitted that when she sits down and thinks about everything happening at once, her anxiety becomes almost unbearable. And one of the details viewers connected with most deeply was her confession that she often falls asleep listening to sermons and calming podcasts simply to keep her mind from spiraling late at night. Suddenly, the image being presented was not polished influencer Katie anymore. It was a 25-year-old mother trying to emotionally survive while raising 2 children in the middle of what sounds like a complete collapse of her support system. Almost immediately, platforms like Reddit exploded with reactions ranging from heartbreak to admiration. Large sections of the audience praised Katie for finally stepping outside the keep sweet mentality associated with conservative religious environments and seeking professional therapy instead of relying exclusively on church counseling. Others admitted they felt strangely relieved hearing someone inside the Bates world finally speak honestly about anxiety, emotional trauma, and the psychological pressure attached to maintaining the image of a perfect family online. Longtime followers repeatedly pointed out how difficult it must be to navigate motherhood, marriage struggles, and family estrangement simultaneously, while millions of people continue watching and analyzing every move publicly. At the same time, though, another side of the internet immediately started dissecting the strategic side of the Q&A itself. Some viewers became convinced that the harsh questions may have been intentionally selected, or even carefully planted, to allow Katie to regain control of the public narrative surrounding her move away from Tennessee. Others argued that the rollout felt too emotionally calculated to be completely spontaneous, especially considering how efficiently the conversation shifted from criticism about isolation into sympathy for her personal struggles. And honestly, this is where the discussion became incredibly fascinating because people were no longer just analyzing Katie's emotional state. They were analyzing whether she had quietly become the most media-aware member of the Bates family entirely. That theory gained even more traction once viewers noticed how effectively Katie repositioned herself within less than 24 hours. Instead of allowing internet rumors to define her relocation, marriage struggles, or distance from family, she completely reframed the narrative herself. Suddenly, she was no longer being discussed as the daughter who isolated herself from her support system. She became the woman trying to protect her mental health after years of silence, pressure, and emotional suppression. And honestly, many longtime viewers believe this may be the clearest sign yet that Katie is no longer operating under the tightly controlled Bates family image machine at all. She seems increasingly willing to use social media not as a tool for perfection, but as a way to publicly reclaim ownership over her own story. Meanwhile, scrutiny surrounding Travis has exploded right back into the center of internet conversation. Viewers immediately began revisiting old videos, old interactions, and old relationship dynamics, searching for clues that something deeper may have been wrong for a long time. Some commenters argued they always sensed emotional imbalance inside the relationship, while others warned against turning vague confessions into internet conspiracy theories without knowing the full context. Still, the overall audience mood remains noticeably uneasy. Even though Katie stated they are trying to work through things together, many viewers openly admitted they are no longer focused on preserving the image of the marriage itself. Instead, the conversation has shifted toward whether Katie can emotionally rebuild her life independently if things ultimately do not recover. And honestly, that may be the biggest shift happening inside the Bates family world right now. For years, survival inside this environment seemed tied directly to obedience, silence, loyalty, and maintaining the appearance of harmony no matter the emotional cost. But Katie's confession quietly exposed the devastating personal consequences that can come from finally breaking that silence publicly. Instead of protecting the family image, she chose transparency, even knowing it might cost her relationships, stability, and the sense of belonging she grew up around her entire life. And whether viewers agree with every part of her story or not, one thing became impossible to ignore after this Q&A. The carefully curated illusion of permanent Bates family perfection may have cracked wider than ever before. But now, I want to hear from you guys. What are your honest thoughts about Katie admitting she lost relationships with most of her family after addressing childhood trauma? Do you think viewers are overanalyzing the Q&A strategy, or did parts of the rollout genuinely feel intentional from a PR perspective? And honestly, after hearing her speak so openly about therapy, anxiety, and emotional exhaustion, do you think this marks the beginning of a completely new chapter for Katie outside the traditional Bates family system? Drop all your thoughts and theories down below, and if you want more deep dives into the latest Bates family chaos and internet conversations, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss the next breakdown. Stay safe out there, and I will see you guys in the next one.